Hello, all, and welcome to Movie Bears Podcast TV. I'm Brad Harris, and now that all of the shows are back and new shows are coming out, I like to get together with some of my favorite people on the face of the planet to talk about these awesome TV shows.
TBD.
TBD, that's right, TBD. With me, as usual, you already heard his wonderful voice. Casey Scott is here. Welcome, Casey.
Hello. Wow, 2 weeks in a row. I'm excited.
I know, right?
I like seeing you guys on a more regular basis.
Exactly.
I miss you when I don't talk to you.
Oh, we miss you too. We need to get together even when there's not new
I
TV.
know.
Exactly.
Well, I'm trying to come out for maybe DragCon in the
Oh,
Nice.
So, I'll be on the West Coast, hopefully.
nice.
We can do a live in one room episode.
Exactly.
That would be awesome. That would be great.
Good.
Well, very good. And Stephen Heslin is here with us as well. Welcome, Stephen.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back. Second week in a row, and this time on time.
Yeah.
No crazy LA traffic this time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, because last week I logged into the chat and I saw Brad and I was like, oh, I'm not late. I'm not the last person. What's going on?
Casey was like, are we in some kind of weird parallel sci-fi?
Yeah,
Just
I was
Black
like,
Mirror?
what is going on here? Am I in a dream? This isn't happening, right? Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. So I logged on and I saw you and I was like, oh, yeah, we're all here. Okay, cool.
So, Stephen, I wanted to ask you about something. I know we talked previously. Are you guys going to be in Palm Springs next week?
We are.
Oh.
Yeah, we just finally booked everything. Like we were going to do one thing and then another, and then last minute plans changed, but we're still going to be there.
Oh,
yeah.
Excellent. Well, we've got like 20 people in the house. You guys should come hang out.
Wow.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's Palm Springs Pride Weekend again, Casey.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, cool. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're going for a friend's wedding celebration, but we're there the whole weekend. So.
Oh, awesome. Well, we've got a bunch of bears and chubs and chasers friends
Yay.
hanging out. So, we'll text, we'll coordinate.
Yes.
But that'll be fun. Casey, you'll be with us in spirit.
I really need to
Well-
get out to Palm Springs. There's so many like old porno people I need to interview out there.
Well,
Exactly.
see?
Yeah.
There you go.
All the old dinosaurs from the good old days of 70s porno.
Hashtag old dick.
Old
Sorry.
dick.
Oldie but goodie.
Oldie but goodie is much better because there is a hot guy out there who did bear porn in the 90s too.
Oh,
Yeah, he was around in the 70s, then he came back in the 90s. So, yeah.
interesting.
Mickey Squires, look him up. He's super hot.
Mickey Squires.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Googling right now. I'm Googling. Oh my. Okay.
Mickey,
Wow.
He's great. He's one of the last survivors of that 70s, the clone look.
Gotcha.
The cult look. And he's great. So yeah, I need to get out there and interview him because he's never done an interview before. So
Well, see, you could be the one to break his cherry.
that would be wonderful. That particular cherry.
We had two people listening live, and now that we're talking about like interviewing,
Gay porn.
Oh no, I drove the people away.
that's all
Come
right.
back. We're talking
like
about
Walking Dead.
on
What's the
TV.
Walking Dead?
Yeah, I know, right? Why are you talking about hashtag old dick?
Oh goodness. Well, we've got a fun show for you this week. We are going to be discussing the season premiere of The Walking Dead. Bit of controversy around that episode. We're going to break it down and kind of analyze it, talk through our thoughts. We're also going to dish up a little bit of MeTV because, even though we have new TV and we're back, there's so many different shows. We're not all watching the same thing. So it'll be interesting to catch up on that a little bit. So lots to discuss. Are we ready to dive in? Is it that time?
Yeah,
I think
it
so.
is.
All right. Well, let's kick things off then with a little bit of MeTV. Stephen, what have you been watching lately that's kind of got your interest?
So I think one of the things that I just started watching today, actually, that I don't know if you're going to talk about, Brad, is Black Mirror. And it's Netflix. It was a British BBC show that went for 2 seasons, and they decided not to renew it. So Netflix picked it up and did an original third season, but has all 3 seasons on Netflix. And they just released the 3rd season, I think, on the 21st of October. And one of the episodes is actually directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who was I worked with on Totally Rad Show. Mm-hmm. So the second episode is directed by him. But so I've been meaning to watch it, and then we were maybe possibly going to talk about it on here, so I decided to kind of kick it in and watch it. But I wanted to kind of talk about the first episode with Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh my God.
So good.
Wow. Yeah.
So freaking good. So many like parallels to, like what's actually happening in real life, and but yet just a little bit off, and kind of shows you the horrors of how everything can go wrong. It's, somebody described it to me as, like the Twilight Zone of modern day Twilight Zone, and that's exactly the best way to me to describe it, because it's that sort of psychological horror. It's not necessarily scare you horror, but it's that sort of like horror of reality sort of thing, and or a slightly different reality. And I usually don't like Bryce Dallas Howard, but in this particular role, she excelled, because I always feel like she's a little bit too over the top with her acting. She telegraphs things a little bit too much, but this role particularly called for that. So I think they used what I found is usually her weakness as a strength for this role, and I thought it was perfect casting, and shot really well, and I mean just everything. Dan's episode, the second episode, is also really great. I didn't love the story as much as the first one. And, but the directing and effects and everything are amazing. So, yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Black Mirror was the like, I was like, oh my God, we got to talk about this. Jim and I just watched it last night, and we only saw the first episode. And Casey, without spoiling you, I'll just give you the setup because it's in the trailer for the episode. Dallas Bryce Howard plays this like, I don't know. She's like an up and coming, person. She wants influence, and she lives in a future where like we wear contacts with augmented reality, and like if I were to look at your face, people can rate you like 1 to 5 stars, and it will show your average rating. And it's based on your interactions with them every day, from like the person you buy food from at Olive Garden to like your Uber driver to, whoever, your friends.
People you just pass by on the street, like if you bump into them, they can low rate you and everything.
Right. And so your worth in this society is all determined by your rating. So like if you have like a 1.2, it'll show up next to your head, and people will like get the fuck away from you. Like they don't want to be seen with you. And if you've got a 4.8 or something, like everybody wants to be your friend. And anyway, it's just sort of this cautionary tale of like how social media is like taking over our world. And I got to tell you, and I won't spoil, but it's got me like rethinking like my whole like social media like thing. I'm like, oh my God, like, am I posting this picture of Jim and I at a concert
just to get likes?
Because it's like, oh my God, we're at a concert. Like, does anyone else like Jackson Brown? Or is it, I want status and influence? I don't think that's what it is. But this episode makes me like, God, I should just leave Facebook. Like,
wow.
Well, it also, there was that, those people that were going to develop that app a while ago, that
people
that you were going to allow to rate other people. Luckily, there was an uproar and they stopped it. But I mean, I was like, that's what we were going towards, is rating people, and it's just disgusting,
It is
because it's not a true representation of who you are, because it kind of shows that you could have a bad day, and all of a sudden your rating goes down, and all of a sudden you're thrown into this, spiral of toilet, and but it was interesting that, that's how they regulated society. I mean, there was, like, that's how they kept, in this version of the reality, like that's how they keep people in line. It was fascinating. It was brilliantly done.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, you know, I don't want to say too much more because it could potentially spoil. And Casey, I want you to watch the episode, and because you're such like a social media maven, like I am so interested in your thoughts on this episode. So,
well, it sounds like there was an episode of Community in season 5 where it was that exact same plot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where they were test. Well, it was basically like the People app. They were testing an app called Meow Meow Beans where you would rate people, and then while they were testing this app, it became sort of like Logan's Run, where there were like 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s, and it became like the social hierarchy thing. But that was for laughs. It's it's not a Twilight Zone kind of thing.
Yeah, this is definitely more of a dark cautionary tale kind of thing. But Steven, you mentioned Bryce Dallas Howard, and I gotta say, like, you know, I kind of liked her in Jurassic World.
Oh, really? I did not.
I know.
That's interesting. I think might be in the minority, Brad. I think
I am.
She got a lot of bad reviews. That's all I know. I didn't see it.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has like sort of reduced her to nothing more than like a redheaded bimbo running in high heels or something. Is a comment I saw.
That's all I've heard about it. Yeah,
which I think is unfortunate. But I know people had issues with her, but I kind of liked her character. She was kind of spunky, whatever. But like, I don't know, other stuff I've seen her in, I'm just kind of like, ugh. But I really, really adored her in this role. I mean,
well, like I said, they use her weaknesses for strength, and I think it like they couldn't have picked a more perfect person.
Yeah, I think she sold it. I think if it had maybe been someone else, it may not have been as believable. But I think she did a fantastic job, and I swear, oh my God, I am reevaluating like everybody online and the way they interact with each other when they're like, oh my gosh, what a cute picture of you. I'm thinking what they're really thinking is, oh my fucking God, I hate you so much, but I want your friends to like me, so let me pretend to like your picture.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
Anyway, yeah, good
that
stuff.
Sounds horrifying.
It is. Like it really. Oh, no. I mean, that's the thing. Is like it's not the kind of horror. You know, like it's the horror of reality. You know, it's just
right.
It's you know, it's pretty interesting.
Yep, I agree. Well,
oh my gosh,
Steven, you and I have talked a little bit about Black Mirror here. Casey, I hate to have you feel left out. So Steven and I have we've picked our picks.
I was going to actually mention, you know, a couple other shows, but I just didn't have as much to say about them. Is that, you know, it's like I've been watching Arrow, which actually I was about to give up on it, and it's starting to pull me back in. They're going back to their roots of really good action. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm still a little on the fence, but it's getting a little better. And then the Luke Cage I finished.
And did it get better for you?
The only
that doesn't sound good.
No, it didn't. I didn't love it. It's not my favorite of the Netflix series. I mean, I still love Daredevil more, and I love Jessica Jones, but
Jessica.
Yeah, this one not so much. But I did. The one thing that came out of it that I thought, oh, that's why this is so pertinent to this time, is at one point in one of the episodes they mentioned, you know, hey, this is a superhero who's a black man that's bulletproof. I'm like, oh, with the current times right now, that actually is very fitting, you know.
Right. So, yep, definitely.
I finally kind of understood why it's appropriate for this time.
Yeah, I'm partway through Luke Cage myself, and I'm only a couple episodes in at this point. But I'm interested to see where it goes. But it's definitely got like a very heavy-handed like social message, and rightly so. You know what I'm saying? But
exactly.
I wish that it wouldn't. I don't like the sound of it being so heavy-handed. That bothers me.
Yeah,
I
like subtlety, like, you know.
Yeah, I think just like Luke Cage, though, the show kind of has a chip on its shoulder, and it has something to sort of say, and it's I feel it's very in line with the character itself, so it doesn't seem like dissonant. But I mean, your mileage may vary. Yeah, so. For me, Black Mirror was going to be my pick too. So, Steven, I'm so jazzed that we were like right there together on that. I've been watching a couple other things, of course, Flash and Supergirl. But I've actually been watching Old School Knight Rider on Blu-ray.
Oh my gosh! That did just come out on Blu-ray. That's right. I forgot about that.
It did.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, David Hasselhoff chest hair in stunning high definition is a beautiful thing. But it's more about shiny Kit driving around, jumping over obstacles, and man, I'm having so much fun going back and rewatching this series, and it's funny, like it's been a while since I've went back and done a rewatch, and it's hitting me like how much this is like Murder, She Wrote with a talking car.
Yeah,
basically,
it really was.
It's kind of like how Quantum Leap was Murder, She Wrote with like a time traveler.
Right, right.
Yeah.
MacGyver was Murder, She Wrote with a guy who could fix stuff. It's like a lot of those 80s shows are very similar. They're very like case of the week. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
But they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yep. But it was funny. I was watching an episode and Kit was being like more irascible than normal. And Jim's like, I never realized that Kit was such a bitchy old queen.
Exactly.
He was played by a bitchy old queen.
It's like Waylon Flowers and Madam.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, Casey, we've been talking forever. What's on your TV, guys?
Oh my gosh. Well, I watch everything, so it's very difficult to narrow it down to one thing, and I'm trying to think of something that you guys would watch, so it's not just me having a monologue. You
can monologue. You have our permission.
I don't like that though. Are you guys watching This Is Us by any chance?
No.
What?
Never even heard of it.
It's only the best show of the new season. It's getting huge word of mouth. Yeah, with Mandy Moore and. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's really good. It follows a variety of people who all share the same birthday, and because you haven't watched it, I can't go into any more detail because there's a lot of surprises. But it's very good. You should be watching it.
I'll have to put it on the list then if it gets that stunning of a recommendation. Is this a brand new show?
Yeah, it just started.
Didn't they advertise it with the two overweight people?
Yes. Yeah. And with the overweight guy is the hot guy from Stranger Things without the beard.
Really?
The guy who gets killed in the first or second episode.
Spoiler alert for Stranger Things.
Whatever. y'all have seen Stranger Things. Y'all binged it. Probably loved it more than I did.
Does not look like him at all.
Yeah, it's him, Chris Sullivan. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And he's really funny and really cute on the show. It's really good. It's it's getting rave reviews. Everyone loves it. It was already renewed for a second season. It has record ratings. You got to check it out. You have to jump on that bandwagon.
Is it a comedy?
It's like a dramedy.
A dramedy.
It's kind of like a more accessible Parenthood.
Okay.
It kind of has that feel to it. And I loved Parenthood when that was on too. So it's really good. I really like it. The acting is brilliant. It's really, Mandy Moore is really good in it. I've always thought she was a better actress than a singer anyway.
Oh, and apparently it has Justin Hartley, who played the Green Arrow on Smallville in it.
Yes.
Ah,
yeah.
right.
And he's one of the guys. He's one of the characters that shares a birthday with a bunch of other characters. I forget who the black actor is who's in it, and he just won an Emmy for American Crime Story. O.J. Simpson.
Wow.
And he's really good in it. Milo Ventimiglia from Heroes is in it. He's married to Mandy Moore. Yeah, it's really good, and you all need to get on it.
All right. Well, definitely. There's like 8 things you said that like piqued my interest. So.
Yeah.
And you get to see Milo Ventimiglia's ass in the first episode.
That's nice. But what about the hot guy from Stranger Things? Do we get to see him without a shirt on?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. But the way the show is going, it's very pro body positivity, and it's really embracing these overweight characters. So I have a feeling we're going to be seeing that at some point soon.
Fingers
crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed is right. Justin Hartley takes his clothes off a lot. It's part of his character's thing. So, yeah, This Is Us is really good.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. Well, we'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Steven, are your dogs like attacking?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's I think
that's okay.
My husband just got home and they're like barking at the door.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Dogs are the most, well, this sounds really cliche. Dogs are so loyal. I think it's awesome. When we get home, our cats, one of them comes down and looks at us and the others are just kind of wherever the fuck they are. They're like, whatever, you're here, you know.
That's why cats can be the perfect pet, because they're very low maintenance. Dogs are super high maintenance.
Yeah, they are. They're like kids.
They're super high maintenance. That's why they're loyal, because they have that connection to you, and they need you, and you need them. It's a very codependent relationship, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly.
I love my dogs that way.
All right, guys. Well, should we quit edging? Should we just like
blow our load?
Yeah, let's blow the most disappointing load in our lives.
Whoa, you're tipping your hat there. All right. So let's say this up front. We're going to talk about the season premiere of The Walking Dead. Some of you guys have been like tuning in live, leaving, tuning in, leaving, tuning in, waiting for us to talk about it. Well, here it is. Hope you come back for it. There you are. I just saw like 4 people join again. So cool.
Oh.
So
How
we're gonna
do they know to join and to leave?
I think they're just like opening it, like checking what we're talking about, and then like when they don't hear Walking Dead, they close it and then check back a few minutes later.
So yeah, interesting. Well,
right.
Yeah, this is gonna get interesting, guys. So
I think so.
Fasten your seatbelts.
All right. So before we get into it, if you have not seen this week's episode of The Walking Dead, we are going to spoil it pretty shamelessly. So,
Will Linda's just tuned in.
I didn't even I didn't even stalk Facebook to see what his thoughts were. I usually do, but sorry, Will.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
It's all right. It's all right. Hi, Will. Glad to have you here. So, just in time for a Walking Dead conversation, Will and I have actually kind of been going back and forth about this whole spoiler thing with Walking Dead, which we can talk about too.
Yeah.
Right.
But you've been warned, spoilers are inbound. Here we go. Our discussion of The Walking Dead. All right. So, Casey Scott, you mentioned some controversy around The Walking Dead. I put you first in the order because I thought, who better than Casey Scott to
Oh my God.
discussion off?
The most controversial, loudmouth,
But that's
blowhard of the three of us.
That's why we love you.
I say things that I wish I could take back, but they're on the permanent record. Actually, now that I'm editing the show, I could completely edit them out. But
don't. That's part of the charm of MBP. That's something you bring to the table. So
I guess. All right. I appreciate that. All right.
Of course. So kick us off here. What did you mean about controversy?
Well, first of all, if you hear me sniffling, I'm not like doing coke like Trump. I don't know why I'm sniffling tonight, but if it comes through in this high tech mic, I apologize for that. So the controversy, I think the controversy is kind of twofold. What I've been seeing about post-show reactions from fans and journalists too, there are all sorts of think pieces on this episode, of course, is that there are lots of fans who are saying that they're not going to watch the show anymore because the show got way too graphically violent for them. And now it's become very nihilistic and dark and bleak, and they don't want to be a part of it. And we've heard this before. We've heard all this before. But I don't know. It's kind of like when the Game of Thrones fans say they stopped watching after Sansa was raped on her wedding night, and that didn't stop them from tuning in last season.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, okay, they're outraged. So there's outrage over that, but then there's also controversy because it's kind of like the way that they handled the episode, and the phrase heavy-handed, I think, applies in some moments in this episode where it was just like, oh gosh, like it was very emotionally manipulative.
Yeah.
So that's another angle to it, that there are fans who are unhappy about it. I don't know if there are people who feel like I do about it. When I finished watching it, I was just like, well, that was graphic, but it didn't have any emotional impact on me because the way that they handled it, so basically, I guess to set it up, is the finale last season, which we talked about on here, which I really hated, was a big lead up to meeting Negan, the leader of the Saviors, this group that Rick and his group decided to take out in their sleep, like animals. So we meet Negan, and we're supposed to be leading up to this surprise death of a major character, one of Rick's group. And it stops before we learn who it is, which really divided actually, I don't even think it divided the fans. I think most fans were like, what is this bullshit? Like, excuse me. It wasn't like, and I think I even said it then. It's like, I'm not like frothing at the mouth to see someone die, but I don't like to be dragged along and then like, have it left dangling like that. It wasn't a satisfactory cliffhanger for me. So when the premiere happened, it took 20 minutes for us to find out who it was going to be. And then we go over the whole eeny, meeny, miny, moe thing, which it wasn't as suspenseful the second time. So, exactly. which is not the way it's supposed to be, because it's supposed to be more suspenseful, because now we're actually going to see what happened. And so Abraham is chosen and gets, his head bashed in. And then Daryl decides to punch Negan. And the reaction of Negan to that is not to beat up Daryl, but to kill Glenn. And it didn't feel, it was very graphic. There were lots of fans like, oh my God, we had to see like the eye protruding out and all this stuff. It was like, oh, it was just so over the top. It's like, I don't know what show you've been watching, but
yeah, exactly.
I was like, you need to calm down. Like, do you remember, Everybody Hates Chris getting ripped apart, like in the stuck in the glass door? I mean, come on. Yeah. But my thing was that it tied back in again to the fact that they should have done this in the finale. Because we had spent that entire episode with both Abraham and Glenn interacting with the people that they were closest to, namely the women in their lives. The premiere is seen completely from Rick's perspective. So the power of seeing these characters get killed is seen through Rick's perspective, but it's not. It would have been more powerful if it had happened after we had seen them interacting with, the people that they were closest to. So it really didn't have any kind of emotional impact for me. And I think that is something that maybe fans are reacting to when they were saying it was gratuitously violent, because it really was violent, but it didn't have any emotional heft to it. So it just felt like torture porn, which I've seen some people describe it as. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I will say that it was violent, but it didn't have impact. It didn't have impact. And that was the big thing, I think, where it's like, if you're going to do something like that, it should have some kind of emotional impact. And I think it might have had an emotional impact, but it wasn't what they were kind of going for. I think it was like, oh, this is really graphic. But I didn't see people, at least I personally didn't see people outraged that it was like, oh my gosh, Glenn's never going to see his kid and all this stuff. It was like, oh, that was just terrible having to see this particular kind of murder on the show. It had nothing to do with the character, either character. It had everything to do with the content, not the themes and everything that were tied into who was being killed.
Gotcha.
And then, there was the tease of Carl possibly getting his arm cut off in exchange for the lives of everybody else in Rick's group. And I actually was expecting that to happen. So that was an interesting twist when Negan showed some mercy. And it was very biblical, actually. It was like when God asked Abraham to bring his eldest son up to the mountain and sacrifice him. That's very much what it was. And it was kind of like, okay, well, that I'm your God now. You've demonstrated it, because Abraham didn't have to sacrifice his son on the mountain. God said, oh, okay, I see you're serious. Okay, that's all I needed. And that's
spoilers for the Bible.
I'm sorry, it was like a brillion years ago. Like it was a brilliant 2 BC. I don't even remember. So yeah.
So it didn't work for you, it sounds.
It didn't work for me, but I get why there are fans talking about it being very bleak, because obviously it's super bleak. It's like we see no way out for these characters, But the question is, do we even want to follow these characters anymore to see how they get out of this? I mean, do we? Is it like, abandon all hope, ye who enter here? Which it feels like the show's been like that many times before. So, this was definitely not a promising start to the season. I'm really not looking forward to the rest of the season, to be honest.
So we've got a Casey Scott downvote.
Yes.
Steven, how about you? Where did you come in on this?
It was very difficult to watch in many ways. I watched the 2-hour, how we got to here, setup. And it sort of reminded me how many main characters we've lost over the years. And so now we're kind of left with, Rick is the only original character and his son, and everyone else is sort of, and Daryl, I guess. But everyone else is sort of, come and goes, and, and Glenn was, one of the last remaining, full-time original cast, and, Carol's sort of lost in the wind somewhere. But so it's not so much that I was upset that these main characters are gone. I agree with everything Casey said, and I read an article sort of saying the same thing, that basically they lost all the punch when they divided it over the season finale and season premiere, because we had, 16 months or whatever to forget about all the reasons why this is so horrible. So what people, I think, were reacting to was the visual aspect of it. The visual aspect of it sort of bothered me the most. It really didn't need to be that graphic. And I get, I get what everyone's saying when they're saying, what show have you been watching? This is graphic. But that is human on zombie. Most of the most graphic stuff is human on zombie.
True.
And there's a layer that you can take away of reality because zombies don't exist. So you can kind of watch it and be like, oh, hey, that's cool, because it's your brain can process that. When you see the human on human violence, it's harder for your brain to process, because this could really happen. And the thing I'm sort of afraid of, and this is where I'm starting to sound like get off my lawn old man, but it's honestly, I feel like this is a new low for TV. I don't think I've ever seen anything this violent on TV. And I feel like if this show continues to be successful, there are going to be producers, or even the producers of this own show, they're like, how can we one-up that? How can we go even worse than that? And it turns into this horrible graphic violence that you're watching on TV, and yet we can't see two men kiss. It's so ridiculous, but it's pushing those boundaries of violence, and I don't think that's necessary. Now, granted, that this is what's going to push the show forward, and I know there are ways to do it. There could have been much more sound effects and seeing reaction shots of people, and I know that wouldn't have been as effective, and I know that that's not what the show is, and that would have been, some people would have said, oh, they chickened out or whatever. I just don't feel like you have to take it that far. And I really do feel like they pushed it. It's not going to stop me from watching it. I'm not that sensitive that's going to stop me from watching it. But I do kind of feel, I get why people would want to watch it. I get the reaction that people are having. I think they did sort of miss the boat on trying to really have it be emotional as well as a visceral reaction. I also get the reaction that you were saying, Casey, about well, where are we now? But it is, I think for shows to evolve, sometimes they do need to, change directions, blow things up, and, and that's what this is. This is sort of expanding the world and everything. I'm going to give them the creative license to do that because, they're following source material that's been doing well. So, it was just tough. It was, it was tough to watch, tough to process, tough to kind of, gather what I even thought about it, and I don't know. At the same time, we're talking about it in a way we've never talked about a show before, so that's sort of the job of creative arts, is to push boundaries and get people talking about things, and that's what sort of we're doing. But like I said, at risk of sounding like an old man, I worry that they went too far, and that wasn't a boundary we needed to push.
Right. So. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I think for me, as a comic reader, I've known that this was coming for a while, and I didn't know that the show was going to have Glenn die. Because the show's been taking license and doing things differently, but like this confrontation with Negan was coming, and in the comic, and it's interesting. I saw an article today that had like screenshots of or images from the comic panels, sort of set side by side with screenshots of Glenn's death on TV, and it's incredible how sort of faithfully they recreated that.
Right.
But I've known that it's coming, and I've been a little worried because, reading through the comics, Stephen, to what you were saying, I mean, zombie on human, gore there's just this buffer of like fantasy, right, between them that I think isolates you from being like, oh my God, they just bashed that poor person's head in. It's like, no, it's a rotting zombie who wants to eat you, so kill it before it kills you. But the real threat on this show and in this comic has never been the zombies. It's the other living people, whether it's Merle, Daryl's brother, or the governor, or whoever it is that's showing up to threaten our heroes. The shitty, nasty, most vile pieces of humanity are the ones that seem to be surviving and thriving in this world. So I'm like, man, this epic showdown is like coming. And I'm like, how is it going to be portrayed on TV? Because if it's portrayed anything like it is in the comics, like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. So my thought was, it's AMC. They typically do a pretty good job of like making it gory without like crossing lines for TV. But like I'm sitting there watching this, and I think I was okay until like Glenn gets his head hit and like he's got an eye popping out and he's like, Maggie, I'll find you. And at that point I'm like, oh Jesus, like this can't go any farther than that. It just can't. Like this is the apex. This is how far it will go. And then Negan bashes his head one more time and brings Lucille away from his head, and like part of Glenn's face is like hanging off of the bat as he's walking toward them. And I don't know, something in me just kind of snapped a little. And like I read the comics, I know how gory the comics are. I'm okay with how gory the comics are, but I think seeing it played out that way for me on TV, which is usually a much safer medium, has really kind of disturbed me a little bit. And I'm not going to stop watching the show. In fact, I think it's a gamble to see if they can maybe, through the hype maybe, or whatever, they're kind of reinventing a little bit, maybe trying to get some folks back. I don't know. I'm going to keep watching and see. But my fear is that now that this line has been crossed, this is a line that they'll cross all the time.
Yeah.
And I hope that that's not the case, because that seems more like showboating and soulless violence that's not in service to like character development and drama. You were talking, Stephen, about kind of the whole like what got us here and how many characters we've lost. I think back to a lot of the character development from like season 1. Season 2 we were stuck on the farm for way too long. But like some of the stuff in the prison in season 3, and I also know what's coming with this Negan storyline too, and I'm interested enough that I still want to see that play out on TV. But man, I'll be honest, if I've got to watch violence like this every Sunday before I have to work on Monday morning, I don't know. That's going to be really hard for me, you guys.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because I keep, there are people who. There are these arguments that this is like a new low for television or whatever. But I had a much more difficult time watching the season-long torture of Reek on Game of Thrones, where every single week we got little peeks into this. And that was on a Sunday night too. And that was horrible. That was terrible. That was way worse than this. And that was an ongoing season-long arc of this guy getting tortured and castrated. And that was awful.
I don't think it was as visual, like you didn't actually see a lot of it,
Right.
And so that's where I think that's where they did stuff that was more suggestive, like when he's eating his penis and stuff like that. You didn't see him cut off the penis, but you had to imagine it to get to where you are when you're seeing him eat a sausage, and so it's like that's the same thing that I'm kind of saying is that if they did that whole scene and you did it from the reaction of Maggie's face, I still think it could have been as effective if you're hearing it, what's happening, and you're just seeing Maggie's face. I think it would have been just as gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, what's interesting to me is there's this whole movement out there now that wasn't there before. People are like signing petitions who are like fans of the show to like get AMC to now scale this back. So much so that like showrunners and producers are coming out and trying to defend their decision to show this gore. And the arguments they're using is this has always been The Walking Dead. It's always been headed to this point.
Right.
Now it's here. Are you really going to give up on the show at this point? And Casey, I think to kind of what you were saying earlier, I think it's like a train wreck. Like you're horrified. You know what I mean? You don't want to. You don't want to see it, but in a way you can't look away. And I think even though people are sort of rebelling, they're like, hey, I'm not okay with this.
Right.
I'm betting they're going to keep watching to see.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, but honestly, Westworld's on at the same time. Just watch Westworld. It's honestly a better show than Walking Dead at this point. And it's only 4 episodes deep. It's already better than Walking Dead is in one episode into the new season. Yeah. And I think something else that really irritated me about this is like I get the Glenn surprise. It was whatever, but then again, why the ridiculous psych out of his death last season to have him survive for what 4 more episodes? Nothing substantial happened in those episodes. Yeah. So once again, it's just shows that these writers just love fucking with the audience, and I don't like that. It really pisses me off. And this episode was on top of last season's Rashon, which is another wrong-headed idea of the writers. It's like my issue is not with the violence on the show. It never has been. I mean, as long as it's on broadcast television, I know that there are certain lines you're not going to cross. Though I thought that was the case until the Look at the Flowers episode, and then we had a child killing another child. Even that I thought was worse than this. It had more emotional impact. But it's always just been the writing, and I think right now the writers are in a total slump, and it's interesting because I know that they are bouncing back, and I know that there are fans that will keep watching, and if they will keep watching after all of the shit that the show has put them through, then I think it's kind of like a masochistic relationship where it's like, yes, I will keep watching even though I hate it, and oh my god, I can't believe the writers are doing this, but they are powerless to stop watching, and I don't know why that is, because it's not a consistent show week after week. And it's not as bad as American Horror Story, which for some reason people keep watching. But it eludes me. I'd love people to explain that appeal to me. I don't understand it. But it's not as bad as that. But at this point, I feel like we're in season 3 level writing where they really need to get their shit together.
You bring up the emotional impacts. Let's talk about that for a second. So at this point, we have seen Rick, who has been like utterly cocky, utterly like, yeah, we're king shit. Like, we're going to go kill Negan for you. Horribly backfired. He's now, I mean, like almost been emotionally destroyed. Steven, do you think that this is like character growth for Rick, or do you feel like this is more of the same?
I definitely think it's character. I mean, Negan. I mean, I understand the point of the whole thing. I mean, Negan had to break him down. You're breaking a wild horse, and so he had to get him to a point where he knew he could control him. And so I definitely think this has humbled Rick in a way that he has never been humbled before. But at the same time, for us as an audience to enjoy watching the show, we have to see Rick win. So at some point, Rick's going to have to get his balls back, and we're going to end up killing Negan. That's just how it's going to be. Either that, or this is the craziest, story writing ever. But so I definitely think it's growth, but it's a little forced.
Mm-hmm. Well, he had this opportunity to kind of be humble and realize how his actions affect other people after he saw an entire his surrogate family get murdered and eaten in front of him, and his son's eye shot out last season. Yeah. And he was like, oh shit, this is my fault. He takes no ownership of any of the shit. Everywhere they go, they leave a trail of bodies because of their stupid decisions. Mostly his stupid decisions, where he's like, I'm the leader, but you're the worst leader in the world. It's just, but so he had that opportunity. Instead, he went out and endangered everybody because they had to go out and be like, oh my God, he's having a breakdown. Okay, we need to go out there. And thankfully it turned out okay, but it's like, this character is a mess and he needs to die. Honestly, there's nowhere else for this character to go. There really isn't. He's not, as long as they're in the zombie apocalypse, there's no way for him to improve his lot in life and his mental health. It's just not going to happen. So that's why I say I'm probably actually not going to watch the rest of the season. Not because of the violence. I just don't care. I'm just like, whatever. I'll watch Westworld.
But Casey, Scott, what are you going to do when we find out that every one of them paid like $500,000 to come play in Zombie World?
Meh. Then I'll be like, oh, writers, you got me. It's like
somebody put that in some comment thread that I was reading. It's like, oh, really? You guys, it's all just a dream. Maggie's going to wake up and,
Oh, my Lord. You know what? I wouldn't put it past the show. There's crazier shit that's happened on this show.
It's going to be Herschel dreaming, actually. He's going to wake up and be like, Rick.
Yeah, and they're still stuck on the fucking farm. Exactly. Still looking for Sophia. It's like, we don't know where Sophia is. Carol's not a badass yet. Nothing has changed. It's gonna be like, oh shit. Oh, 4 seasons of nothing. 4 seasons of a dream.
Oh jeez. All right. Well, Casey, Scott, you may not be watching the rest of the season. I think I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah, I definitely am for a while.
All right, have fun with that.
All right. Casey's like, that's nice.
I wish you well. Yeah, I just can't.
All right. Well, let's move on to some plugs as we look to wrap up here. Steven, what have you got this week?
I think this week I'm going to do a personal plug because on Thursday, the company I'm working for is having their annual client party, and I got to write, direct, shoot, edit, and do motion graphics for a promotional video that they're going to be sort of debuting at it. And after that, on Thursday, I'm going to put it on my website, heslincinematic.com. And I'm really proud of it. And it's something that, awesome. It's sort of a new step forward for me in sort of upping my game in creating stuff. So
awesome.
Just plugging myself. Does that sound right?
Oh, your usual Saturday night. No, I'm kidding.
If you can plug yourself, that's talent right there.
How long did that project take you to do?
I started it in August.
Okay.
So yeah, went through August. We shot in September. It was 2 days of shooting, and then yeah, I've just been editing ever since.
Wow.
There was lots of technical stuff, lots of stuff that I learned doing it because while shooting it, there were some motion graphics that I knew I wanted to do, and so there was like, oh, I'll do a screen replacement here, rotoscope this out, and all. Yeah, we got it, and then I got the footage back, and I was realizing, because there's camera movement and turning this and this. It was 10 times more work than I thought it was going to be.
No.
The software that I have that would do screen replacements, I couldn't do it because I had people walking in front. There was obscuring things, and so I had to spend hours manually rotoscoping like a hand going in front of a monitor, like each finger and like
oh jeez,
frame by frame. And I was like, oh, this is not what I wanted to do. Yeah.
All right. Well, when you can, provide us with a way for our listeners to find it, Stephen.
Definitely. Yeah, I would love to to see it.
All right. So awesome. I know I can't wait. Casey, how about you?
Well, like I said, I watch everything, but I am gonna do an unorthodox plug and actually plug a YouTube show.
What? They're originals?
They're originals. It's an ongoing series, and it's called and it's that's the real title, and it's Trixie Mattel and Katya from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Really?
Yeah, they do a show together, and they talk on different topics, and it is some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen in my life. It is great. Apparently they were on the show together, but they didn't really show them having, this close relationship. They're best friends in real life. And so they have a really good chemistry. It's a really funny show. I don't know how you spell because it's like a post-verbal kind of title, I think is how Katya put it. But if you just Google Katya Trixie Mattel, then it will come up. And I think they're at episode 28 now. They've been doing it for a couple months. They put a new one up every Monday. And funny as hell.
I think I've heard of it, and it's I've heard the same thing. That's hilarious. I love it. It's so good. So.
Yeah, Katya is great, and Trixie is way better than she ever was on Drag Race because there's just something about that. Yeah, I didn't either, and there's just something about her sense of humor that it doesn't really fit into that format. So, it's just amazing. It's such a good show. I downloaded every episode and I burned them to DVD because I'm like, I need to own these just in case something happens to YouTube. You never know. I was like, no, these need to be held in posterity.
I will download one and watch it at the gym. That's a good idea.
My gosh, they're so good, and they're like, the episodes are like between 7 and 8 minutes each. So if you want like a 2-hour block, you can knock out half of them in about 2 hours. But nice. Oh my god, funny as hell. Even if you don't watch Drag Race, it's just if you like good comedy, you don't have to be a Drag Race fan. They're just hilarious.
Awesome. Oh, it's under the Wow Presents channel.
Yes, it's under Wow Presents. Yeah, so it's RuPaul's production company does it. It's the best show they've done. It's just really funny. They really hit gold with those two. So
awesome.
It's better than Alyssa's Secret even, which is hard to top. But
oh goodness. All right. Well, for me this week, I want to plug a show we actually haven't talked about in quite a while on MBP TV, and that is Catfish. I've been catching up on it.
Oh yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, we just saw the Katy Perry episode.
I want to see that.
Yeah. Oh man. Craziness. Oh my god, people. I don't understand. What's interesting about the show, have you guys been watching at all?
I think I've watched.
I haven't watched since last season.
On all of them.
Okay. Well, I won't mention any specifics, but it's interesting because the people that they're working with now are getting smarter and smarter. So they're like, hey, I've already done this image search, and I've already done this, and I've already done that. But they're still fucking believing that they're talking.
I know.
And I'm like, how? I don't understand. And so it's becoming.
I find that really frustrating.
Yeah. It's becoming more to me apparent that like maybe there's some mental illness or something going on with the people who are being catfished. Like the focus on the show for so long has been on the people who are doing the catfishing. But man,
I actually think after watching that, to me it speaks to our need to love and be loved, and the mental block that you'll put up to all the red flags that are just staring you in the face because you want that connection. I mean, so many times there's these people that are falling in love with somebody they've just seen 2 pictures of and never spoken on the phone and never video chat. And it's like, how can you call that love? Like, it's just ridiculous to a rational person. But I think people are willing to just throw everything out the window if they can have that connection.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right. And one thing I will say is I actually really appreciate Catfish for like teaching me about these people and what they do. Did you guys read my thing on Facebook about getting catfish?
Yeah, somebody stole your identity, right?
No, well, that's happened before, but in this case, this really hot, like chubby furry dude messaged me on Facebook, and he's like, oh, hey, I think you're really attractive, want to chat? And I'm like, I guess so. You're hot. But like something wasn't adding up. Like his English wasn't very good, yet supposedly, he was from, England. And I'm like, why isn't your English good? That's weird. Right. And then some other things were going on too that just weren't adding up. And so I decided to pull a catfish thing. And I was like, hey, why don't you send me a picture of you like holding up a little hand sign that says like, hi, Brad. And he's like, I'll have to do it later because I don't have a pen on me right now. And I'm like,
sure.
Okay, well that's fine. I don't carry a pen. But I'm like, oh God, red flags. So while I'm waiting, I'm like Google image searching the pictures on his profile, and I wasn't finding them anywhere else. And I was like, well then maybe no, something's so fishy. So then he sends me like a face picture where he's like Snapchat put the text on it that says like, I love you, Brad Harrison. Like, oh no, what the fuck? So I posted that picture to Facebook and I was like, all right, Facebook bears, help me out. Obviously this is not a real person. Who is this? And it turns out it's this very lovely person in the Chicago area who this guy is unfortunately subsuming the identity of. And you know what, guys? Facebook won't do a damn thing about it.
Yeah.
Because this guy's not on Facebook, I guess, and you have to report it yourself.
Oh my God.
Or they won't do anything.
And he doesn't give a shit because he's not on Facebook.
He's like, well, I don't know. I don't know, but I just feel bad that this guy is, So like, apparently we found that like 57 other people in my friend group, like were friends with this guy. Wow. So everyone has been like blocking him. And anyway, all that to say, Neve and Max, thank you for making Facebook a better place. If you're watching this, you probably aren't, but we are you guys. Thank you.
It sounds like Craig Youngworth or something. I don't know if you know about that guy who was doing he was in Florida and he was trying to put together this Florida bear run. And he was messaging people and saying they weren't attractive enough to go and they were trespassed. You're trespassed. You can't come. And so he came back out of the woodwork and had all these fake profiles and was adding people.
Wow.
And they were like, and so it became this whole network of Facebook people like, this is Craig Youngworth. Don't add him. He was finally arrested for threatening to do another Pulse type of massacre.
Yeah, well, we because this was just over Labor Day weekend, right? That this happened. We were down in Orlando. For
God,
Convergence. While he's making these threats, and we're like going out to clubs and places with friends, and we're like, "Good God, like is this guy like So we were.
He's a nightmare.
Yeah, definitely.
Unbelievable.
Well, guys, oh my gosh, this has been so fun. Chatting with you guys. We unfortunately have reached the end of our time for this week, but
so now it's time to have Lucille bash our heads in.
I would rather do that than watch another episode of
Wow, that's pretty severe.
No, that's not true. I'm gonna give it I'm not gonna watch it. I'll need some breathing room. I'll just Wikipedia the episodes and find out.
There you go. That's what Jim said. He's like, I'm not going to keep watching it. He's like, I'll stay, up to date with like the plot developments by just reading online. And he's like,
that's what I did with the whole governor thing. I was like, I don't give a shit about this, and Andrea's awful. Like, I'm not going to watch this. And
Andrea, I miss Andrea.
Do you?
I do. I like Andrea.
I miss Beth. I don't miss Andrea.
I hated Beth.
No, Beth's death affected me way more than Glenn or Abraham.
That's nice, Casey.
And the Look at the Flowers episode was way more effective.
Okay, that was awesome. That was
like the best episode of the entire show.
Totally. The day Carol dies, guys, is the day I'll give up on the show.
Yeah, I can't. And I think they know that too.
Carol. I think, are the two that people would uprise.
They're the only emotional anchors left for me.
Basically, they're the only people that have any emotions left.
Right.
Out of everybody. Carl is a walking sociopath.
I just want to grab his fucking hair and slam him into a tree. Is that bad?
No, he needs to get a haircut, seriously. But then the town barber was butchered, so she's gone. Nobody's cutting anybody's hair anymore.
Oh. Well, yeah.
Nobody cares. Yeah, so when civilization goes, so do the haircuts.
I guess there's no great clips in the post-apocalyptic world.
No supercuts. No.
All right, everyone. Well, we will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Goodbye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.